I'm Amy Cherry. This local news is a service of Flagler County's Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota, here to wow ya. After more than a decade of operating as a cold weather shelter inside a Bunnell church, the sheltering tree will be forced to find a new home for the homeless. Bunnell City Commissioners voted unanimously last night to uphold the zoning board's decision to ban the shelter. Commissioner John Rogers called it a legal issue, not a moral one. The shelter operated for nearly 20 nights last winter inside the First United Methodist Church, but neighbors complained it made them feel unsafe and say it hurt their businesses. The sheltering tree is considering a legal challenge. Sarah Eulis, who's on the board of directors, says in the interim they'll move forward to find an alternate location for operations to better serve the homeless community. Vice Chair Martin Collins says he hopes to work with Flagler County, Bunnell, Palm Coast, and Flagler Beach to find a meaningful solution.
This portion of Flagler's Morning News brought to you by the Daytona Beach International Airport, Delta Airlines nonstop to Atlanta, and now nonstop service to New York City via American Airlines.
It was a busy holiday weekend for Flagler County Sheriff's deputies. Sheriff Rick Staley.
The Sheriff's Office handled 1,699 calls for service and made 43 arrests. 7 of those for driving while intoxicated. We also conducted 370 traffic stops.
But all in all, that's pretty good, Staley said.
I'd like to thank the community for overall behaving as we celebrated the independence of our country. A few people, unfortunately, did not heed our warnings and were arrested and taken to the Green Roof Inn.
There were no traffic-related deaths in Flagler County over the holiday weekend. For the 6th consecutive year, property values in Flagler County are on the rise. John Arking takes a look at the numbers.
According to Flagler County property appraiser Jay Gardner, overall property values in the county increased by 8.58%, a nearly 2% increase from 2 years ago. Among local municipalities, Bunnell saw a nearly 13% increase, with the Grand Reserve development counting for $13 million in property value. Flagler Beach, meanwhile, saw an 11.62% jump, while Palm Coast increased more than 9%. Gardner said while property values have seen nice, steady growth the past 6 years, they are still below levels seen before the Great Recession in 2008. Values stand at a little over $9 billion in Flagler County currently. In contrast, they peaked at $12 billion in 2006 and 2007. The key, he says, is steady growth as opposed to the 40% year-over-year spikes at the peak of the housing bubble. So what to do with the increased tax revenue the higher values are generating? On the county side, Administrator Jerry Cameron says about 30% of that will go to the sheriff's office, with most of the rest moving into reserve funds, which he says are inadequately low. From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm John Arkin.
Feral cats are affecting other animals in our area.
Steve Williams with the Flagler County Sheriff's Department says people are feeding the feral cats, and when they can't find the food, they move on.
They're going to hunt. They're out there. They're not just in the colonies. They're out hunting, and they're going to be hunting small bird, game, mice, and stuff like that. Well, that's a food source for the coyotes that's being destroyed.
Williams says that's why it's so dangerous for small pet owners to leave their small pets outside. The coyotes make a meal of them. You can hear the full interview on the Free for All Friday podcast. You can find that at the Flagler Radio app. Download the Flagler Radio app today. Tomorrow, where do the deer go during the day? From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm Deb Albertson.
And now you're up to date on Flagler's Morning News. I'm Amy Cherry.